Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony, and today we're going right back into Lake of Voices. So without further ado, let's hop in. There's nothing. I breathe out relieved. My ears search for the source of the noise, but with all the babble the Nixie are making in the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it, the noise drifting slowly from the connecting paths up ahead. I can faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The pilot has not arrived yet, but soon paths will intercept with my own. I will not wait for it to reveal itself, leaving me two options. I can run past the bridge connection, get ahead of it, or I can turn back and find a new path to take. Go past. I have faith that following the same path I've been on is for the best. I steel myself in blind up speed. I get closer and closer to the branch, with lurking threat picking up my pace, so I'm sprinting. I hear gurgling hissing as I pass the crossroad. It must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splashes. It is still nearby. Look behind me, see if it at least decided to come no further. I'm horrified to realize it is finally following me. It is no longer mindlessly dragging itself through the blackness. I have become its target. Its limbs wildly and unnaturally. It looks as though it's only barely keeping itself upright as its torso wobbles its hips. It isn't stopping. It isn't stopping. It's giving chase. I focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged. I can still hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward in an unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side, catching me completely off guard. I lose my footing and slam into the damp surface of the bridge. My light falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Flashes and excited stares and many voices come from the lake. How? Why is it rotting? Or did they push the support beams? I am left with no time to ponder the mystery. As the monster draws near, I scramble back to my feet as it closes in. Carrying my darkened lantern, I resume running and put some space between us again. I open the latch on the lantern to pull out a match. I have to slow down, at least briefly, to properly light the flame without blowing it out. With death still on my heels, I must not let one precious moment be wasted. Set on my plan with everything in hand, I begin to decrease my pace, light the lantern. Moving as fast as I am capable, I place a lit match inside the lantern. The oil catches fire, the flame grows, and I can hear the awful footsteps behind me peter out. I steal a glance behind me. It has truly stopped. The return of the light seems to catch it off guard, and thankfully it declines to come closer. After a moment of reprieve to breathe, I rush forward once more. Fighting isn't an option. I need to get away from that monster. I'm not able to run fast enough, however. I let out a loud scream as the power latches onto my body from behind. I'm thrown to the ground again. The shock is greater, and the lantern slips in my hand, skidding across the bridge out of my reach. As it came in contact with the light, the prowler drops itself back into the depths without beginning to attack. There's no time to feel relieved. Arms of the other Nixie emerge from the water and reach outside the fridge, scraping the boards as they try to get me. I tried to climb to my feet. One of the creatures takes hold of me before I can properly stand and dragged back down to the ground, my jaw smacking hard against the bridge as Nixie blindly turned me toward the edge. Other slimy, clawed hands grab onto me as I jam my nails into the crevice in the bridge. I kick frantically at their silhouette, but they keep pulling me closer to the edge. I curl my fingers around the uneven wood tighter. Despite all my effort, there is no support. My bloody, splintered fingers come loose. Water engulfs my vision, heavy and cold, so thick I can't even hear my own thrashing to grab my sword, trying to fight back. I can't even get out of the hilt. The resistance against me, all-encompassing. Something grabs my arm and then my waist. As I get pulled side to side or further down, first one way then another. Water feels like a solid substance. Being dragged against it is like being pressed through something. My vision grows darker and darker. I can't tell whether I'm going low or whether I'm losing consciousness. My arm froze to bring me close to whatever the surface is, but nothing is working. Complete darkness engulfs me. Why, was everything I've done worth it? I must believe that it was. Ooh! I panicked! Oh no! Alright. I'm gonna go back, and when I get to the place, I'm gonna record again. I'm gonna try.
Even back, the guide is.
We need to make it.
I'm saying.
I do not agree, but my face darkens for a moment as I
The guide may not care what fate lies ahead for us, that is fair to say, but that is not the same as intentionally conspiring against us.
We change one decision, we're going to see how that changes things. Melee opens his mouth in an attempt to counter, however, I raise my palm to stop.
Perhaps you may be right, Bemele. I'm not blindly trusting the guide, nor am I unaware of how he is a deeply suspicious figure. However, I believe it's too early to come to such a dire conclusion.
He seems to have more to say on the matter, but he finally sighs and drops the topic instead. He pensively looks forward as we continue on. Our progress continues steadily, and we still encounter no significant
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
Bemele's quiet, breaking question doesn't sound particularly enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Huh.
Melee is unconvinced. It is not only I who notices. The guide suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side to look back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Is there?
Is that...
We've progressed through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time, but Melee's question was not idly curious. He was confirming that fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Melee is taking.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement landed heavily on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There were no sounds to cover our voices. However, I assumed we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves. He stared with such an icy expression I nearly freeze in place. Melee, on the other hand, heats up and growls more hostile. He leaves my side to rush to the guy's flickering light. This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and we just stand facing the
Am I
eye.
right?
It's a lantern. Stare down. I managed to calm my mind down from the commotion, recall what the guide said when we first encountered the palace. You don't have to run or fight, you only need to keep moving, but keeping an eye on it. You can't keep on running forever. Doing so only seems to invigorate them further. I fix my stare on it forcefully as the creature recoils from the relit lantern. Moving at a steady but brisk pace, I continue forward, making sure to check behind me often. It creeps at a distance, however, the thing makes no more dramatic attempts to engage with me, choosing only to lurk. I'm set on edge by its presence, but in a way it's strangely beneficial. It makes it harder to get lost in my own mind when the tension in the air is so high. Reaffirming my goals, I go down the bridge after making my way to what I can only hope is the way out. Eventually the prowler halts at the precipice of one of the branches. Frustrated, it paces back and forth on the border as though something is physically stopping it from going further. I decide to take that as a good omen. The journey of mine returns to one of isolation, even the whispers of Sinlo's have ceased. Suddenly I realize through the foggy black sky it's turning dark blue. Dawn is beginning to rise. Despite there is no use in keeping up my strength. I sprint down the bridge, going faster and faster as I hold out from sort of sight, anything. Eventually I receive one. The silhouette of the land peeks into my field of vision. I can scarcely believe as I blink away the tears. With a new spirit, I press down on the bridge, increased speed, desperately trying to outpace the sun. The glowing orb peeks into view against the absurd sky, beginning to ascend unfeelingly. With each step, the sky brightens ever so slightly more. I race through the oppressive fog, and there's a voice in the distance. It is a horrifying sound of a monster looming. It's Melee. He's calling out for me. I shout back to him through the dark and foggy void. My voice comes out as a horribly weak wheeze between deep, shaky breaths. I'm almost certain he couldn't hear me. I am not bothered by that, however. I will find him. I'm coming, Melee. Please just wait for me. I keep running against the increasing light, and his figure comes into view here on the bridge. Melee races towards me at high speed. It doesn't slow down when he gets near. He grabs hold of my side and support my drooping frame as I slow to a stop. Barely choked out a sentence, I strain to catch my breath.
Why are you here?
I was looking for you, of course. I knew you had to be nearby. Don't worry over it. I wasn't reckless enough to go in the dark. I waited until there was some sun and stayed on one path.
He grins at his own planning skills. I grow cross at his risky
The
behavior.
bridges could have sunk.
Despite the admonishment, I'm terribly relieved to see him
You
again.
are free to give me a proper lecture some other time. Right now, I'd say it's time for us to get out of this damned place. Are you still able to run?
I pull my weight back to my feet and nod at him confidently. though my legs still lightly quake beneath me. Melanie gives me a reassuring smile, something I had come to believe I would never get to see
Don't
again.
worry. We're nearly there.
I provide a battered smile in return. The two of us tear across the bridge in the direction Melanie points out. Just as he promised, the end comes into view. Again, all the odds, we both make it. I nearly tumble off the bridge onto solid ground. I crouch on the ground and lay my head between my legs, unable to stand. I rest there quietly for a few moments, taking my time to allow my breath and emotions to settle down. Finally, I look up from my lap to see Melanie standing ahead of me, both of our eyes flowing with tears. Melanie walks over to me and sits down in the dirt nearby. He gazes deeply into my eyes, with a gentle smile gracing his lips. No words need to be exchanged between us to know what the other is thinking. I'm glad for it, because I'm not sure I would be able to speak even if I needed to. The sound of sloshing and wood lurching captures our attention. The bridge begins to sink in a few minutes. Only the dock is left. With that, the guide walks towards me.
It is time to leave this place. There is nothing left for you here.
Upon being addressed by him, I rise to my feet. He has a calm look on his face, though there is a force beneath his sincerity. I open my mouth and attempt to speak, however I quickly rise. I have a little idea of what to say. Do I thank him for this? Should I give him my trust? Was our survival because of him, despite him? Even now I cannot know for certain. And then the fog removed from my thoughts. After everything that happens, it becomes clear. I hurt my face and match my serious disposition. There is something he is certainly right of. This lake isn't a place to linger. Going round and round in circles will never help. We cannot submit our lives to our minds of Sinlos. For better or for ill, there is only one person who can help those once they are within its grasp, the guide. If he were removed, the place would be no safer. What I must do, if I truly want to defend others, is keep them from coming here at all. When I return from my village, I intend to make the information acutely known to our elder. For that to happen, we must leave.
Goodbye.
His eyes narrow as he looks over me. I began to feel uncomfortable under his scrutiny, but for a moment I could swear I noticed him smiling. Slightly, however, it could have easily been a trick of the morning sun. Look at that smile! He's glad we made it on our own. And he said he had a heart of stone. I look away to face Bamele, not wanting to get caught up in this any longer.
Bamele, we're leaving.
Lifts his head at my voice and grins, though his expression quickly sours into a frown. He shows no eagerness to move forward and keep his distance. He still feels regret that it is only us who are leaving. I empathize greatly with him, knowing that feeling is one we will never escape from, even after this lake is far behind us. However, he manages to weakly smile
Those
again.
words are music to my ears. Let's head out.
Mallory walks towards the forest without even acknowledging the guide. It is for the best. On the whole, we must get away from here. It saddens me to think that Melly doesn't have the strength to become angry, though perhaps he had an epiphany about this lake in the same way I did. We will be able to discuss that on another occasion. Despite the firmness I so intently tried to have in my heart, starting to waver. Margaret, Lou, they're both still here. Don't do this to me. Don't make me sad, okay? I get it. It's very sad they died. But we made it without them. Please don't make me think about it. I wish to give them a proper farewell. I want to do something. My eyes begin to water, and I almost turn back around. No, it is done. I need to remember that. They would never want me to ascribe their lives to Sinlos. Nothing would disgrace their memory more. I'll keep them in my thoughts without allowing the lake to poison me. With my steadfastness truly regained, I march into the light with no hesitation. With solemn heart, I at last arrived at Hemmer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation in need. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Hemmer's own guard in forcing back the brigaders, but during the moment of calmness when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. I was of great help during the fight. His outwardly positive demeanor lifted the spirits of many around him, but I could see the shadows in his eyes that he hadn't forgotten what we went through. Nor could I miss the distance that had grown between us. He spoke fewer words to me, and I never gave him many either, yet he seemed stronger than I had seen before. I admire his will. When receiving payments for his service, the guide must have give a report of all those who have succeeded and failed to cross the lake. The name and fate of Margaret soon became known in Himmer. I added that she was an intelligent, thoughtful person, and urged them to show respect for her passing. I hope that one day I have the opportunity to go to her hometown and give her my own proper respects. His retelling events had little to say for Lou. I know that this is because he was not meant to be there and was never one to open up, but it is still sad for me to face how I never truly got to know who he was. I can only pray that those who care for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, mysterious light off in the distance that is ever out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual life. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. One thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinlos again. I have already told Himmler's leader the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I try to believe my lesson will keep others from suffering the same way. In the end, something will be gained. Lost, yet a way was found. Oh man, dude, that was a good game. And now that we've made it through the first one, as y'all probably know, with our life, I have a playthrough, and it's a long playthrough because we went through one route, we went through a second dude's route, and we're going through a third dude's route right now. So with this, we're gonna go back, make different choices, and it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna see all the different things because I am an achievement hunter. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the videos I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what's next, and I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.